Elizabeth Quinn here again with Elizabeth's Scenes and Scents. Welcome back to my channel. Please don't forget to check out my website, which is waftingwonderfulwax.scentsy.us, where I am Liz Quinn, your star Scentsy consultant. But today, what I have for you really doesn't have a lot to do with wax. It's the promised decor chat and decorating prep video for 2024 with everything that I want to put in my home and things that I wanted to share with you, things that I picked up this year, things that I've had sometimes for many, many years, and how to work all of those things together to create something enjoyable that's not going to stress you out, not going to break the bank, and brings you a beautiful sense of fulfillment when you are decorating your home for the holidays. So let's just dive right on in. The first thing that I want to share are a few thoughts about lighting. Because when you have a tree, and this cute little guy came from Target this year, or you have a garland like this one over here, it is very important that your lighting is the maximum amount that is the style that you would like. I like a lot of lights on pretty much anything that I create because, especially at night, it creates a much more beautiful display when you can see all the shimmer and the sparkle on the ornaments, and you can see all the texture on the tree or whatever it is that you're working with. Your typical pre-lit tree, and this little guy right here is a good example, will come now with either incandescent or LED lights on it. I prefer now to buy the LED ones because unlike 10 years ago or 15 years ago when they were just starting out, they don't tend to be that harsh, cold color. Sometimes you can still get them with that bluish white if that's what you want, but they've worked very hard at making LED lighting much warmer and it lasts a long time. But if you still have an incandescent tree, my green one, if you followed me last year, my mushrooms and mossballs tree, that one was from Walmart, that is incandescent and it's already started to blow its strings, so I will have to light that myself this year, and on and on and on. But this guy's LED and my new one, which of course we will do a video on this weekend, my wonderful, wonderful King of Christmas flocked Slim Queen 7.5 foot, that we will do a separate video on, and that one's LED, and I just cannot wait to show that product to you guys. It's amazing. It was worth every Scentsy penny, so thank you for helping me. When you are the customer on my channel, you are such a blessing to me and my family, and it allows me on the side to have a little bit more income to create things like this that otherwise, I love my husband dearly and he's a very good provider, but when mama wants to play, that's where that extra little income comes in, and I'm so thankful for it. Anyway, let's get back to the trees. So if you have an incandescent tree, or even if you have an LED tree and you just want to add some extra lights, my inexpensive base model recommendation is going to be your white string from Target or somewhere similar, or this one if you're going to put this in the core of the tree, or you can see this is Walmart garland, guys, that I dressed up. Can you see how there's a little bit of twinkle and flicker at the bottom of that? That comes from the twinkling mini string that you get at Target. This is my favorite product. I love these. They twinkle correctly. Even my fancy schmancy new tree that comes from King of Christmas, it has a flicker twinkle mode and it has 2 speeds in it. So it starts out beautiful and then you have a heart attack and then you go back to beautiful. And I wanted to yell and scream. Why can't we just have a beautiful shimmery twinkle? All of you people that produce Christmas trees and Christmas tree lights, we don't want to go to the disco club. We just want to sit there and relax and sip our coffee. Anyway, rant over, but these have the right pattern of flicker and twinkle. So you can wrap these down the trunk of a tree. I put them at the base of this beautiful garland that I made here. And then when you have a flocked tree, you're going to want white string or clear string for any type of wire that you will see more than something that's way worked into the base of an arrangement or a tree. This I got off of Amazon this year, and this is a wonderful LED string. Unfortunately, it has the same twinkle pattern as the tree that I bought. They must come from the same producer. But this will disappear, and it will disappear pretty well into a green tree also, so you can put this farther out on the branches before you add picks and ribbon and all that. And then when you cover it up with the ribbon, you'll still have good light distribution out on the edges of the branches. So we'll talk about this with my tree, but when you are decorating something like this and you want it to just glow from the inside out, you put the shimmer lights down the trunk. Then you have whatever your base lighting is, and if you have a tree that has no lights, then you just plan more to be able to wrap all of the branches individually and very nicely. And in the middle, the trunk area, if you're willing to spend the money, even better than the twinkle lights because these are LED and they're an investment and they'll last for years and years and years, get some snake lights from a good florist. And you can also get these in a clear string. I have a clear string that will go in my white tree. This one will go in my green tree. And these have every good twinkle pattern you can hope for. So I've had these guys for about 10 years, and those are even better. So it just depends on what sort of level of expense you want. So the least expensive is going to be something like this from Target. And another thing I wanted to share with you guys is a lot of big box stores now will do a smaller string. So let's say that you wanted to light a small object or an arrangement, and you don't want 100 or 200 lights to deal with. So you have the 50, and sometimes you can even find a 25. So we're going to talk about this later as far as how you make this. But let's say we wanted a bowl arrangement and we could put it on a counter somewhere. Now you can of course also use battery string lights, which are all over the place, but some people don't want to afford changing out the batteries and all of that. So you could use that 50 underneath here to build a nice little glow and then plug it in somewhere where you can tastefully hide the cords. And you're good to go the entire season, and you don't have an extra 50 or 100 lights to hide. So those are things I thought were most important. And then also, let's talk about this guy here. I would have a really hard time reaching behind this and trying to unplug and plug it in, right? So you get one of these cool little plug-in remote guys, and the battery-operated candles that I have behind me, they come with their own remote too. So if you are already on your decor game and you already knew all of that stuff, I know that the lighting portion isn't all that exciting, but if you're not really thinking about it, you can work very, very hard at creating a beautiful display, and then when nighttime comes and it's all splotchy and you wonder why you don't like it and it doesn't look like the magazines and it doesn't look like the YouTubers, it might be because you didn't plan ahead with the distribution of your lights and the right products. So now let's get into the fun stuff, shall we? So I have my front room that I decorate with a particular theme. The room we are sitting in is newly painted this beautiful creamy vanilla color, and all of my windows were changed, and I no longer have the brown. You can see here, this is the color I was working with last year on all my windows and all my trim. This is the new one. I used to have a beautiful, I loved it, heavy green and brown theme in this room. I adored it. I guess the rest of the family hated it. When we painted it out this year, everybody else is like, oh, look how nice and light and happy it is in here now, Mom. And it took me a minute, but I have definitely embraced the new color palette for this room. And my beautiful white tree is going to go out here, and my little baby guy from Target is also going to go out here. So let's talk about him for a minute. He will probably be over here somewhere. This is a newer style when it comes to the Christmas trees. It's a little bit more organic, and you can see the tips of him here. He's a little bit on the sparse side. Well, when I unboxed him, he had some very funky branches, and it was on purpose. I've even gone back to the store to see whether or not this was a defect. They wanted him so organic that I didn't like it. So I was very careful to look at where the branch tips had lighting. Like, you don't want to cut your LED string. And my doves are over here, so I guess we need to move it back this way. But I found the longest leader that I didn't like, and I made sure I moved all of the LEDs out, and I clipped that. And then I moved those little pieces that I wanted to add to the top because it was too bare, and then I just wired it in. So you can always modify and fix and fiddle with things that you buy. It's not like you're just stuck. Just be careful not to cut any wires while you're doing surgery on your new items. But this feeling, this very organic, very flocked, very casual, and natural theme is what I want for this room this year. So I wanted to show you that if you know me with Scentsy, I do like to kind of put a scent with each room, and Christmas Cookie is going to go back here with all of my relaxed, natural, happy, homey elements. So everything's going to be sage. So I'll show you a few of my possibilities for theming on the couch and in the chair. We're going to be doing sage greens, and we're going to be doing ivories, and we're going to be doing just very natural and harmonious, but I also like to add in animals. That is something I just love. So this reindeer here, this color palette, here is my sort of creamy brown, and this is very in this year, this type of a feeling. So this guy is going to go on my hutch, but I found this at Walmart of all places, and he is really going to sort of anchor everything that I'm thinking about and what informs this room is going to be this guy. And then this one here, we'll talk about that later. That's actually going to go in the front. But he's going to go over here, and he's going to go stacked with a cute little wreath that I already had. So here's the thing. You don't have to buy all new all the time. You just want a few things that inspire you. So this guy is going to go over this. And one of the things that's trending for the last 2 to 3 years is velvet ribbon. So I finally gave in. I bought some velvet ribbons. We're going to stack these, and it's going to look adorable. So we've got the sage, we've got the nature, we have the birds, and the little doves are probably going to be present all over the house this year. I found this in the basement and had my dad make me a star out of it. This was just an ornament. He's going to go on top of the tree, I'm pretty sure, and see how we're repeating elements here. We have the sage, we have the natural, we have the soft colors, we have all the things that just make you feel, which to me is what the sugar cookie scent, this Christmas cookie smell is. The scent has oranges, it's got pine trees, and it's got gingerbread, but yet it somehow still feels very much like a festive sugar cookie, and it's just a great scent, and I think it'll be good. So that is the basic idea of what we're going to do out here, but I wanted to show you, where did it go in all of my mess, the ribbon, the beautiful, beautiful ribbon that is the anchoring of this room's theme. This is something that I saved my points for to get, because this ribbon from D. Stevens, this is the queen of Christmas ribbon creators. And I got this through my Capital One rewards for free. Look at this, you guys. And my other tree is similar to this. Look at how that is on this beautiful white tree. So we're going to be building on my large tree with beads. We're going to be using straw ornaments that I had from a couple years ago. So here is the whole use things that you already have. It doesn't all have to be new. We have ornaments that I bought last year. I don't know if these are going to go on or not, but everything is in very light tones. And we're going to be building that with this beautiful ribbon. So we're somewhat on trend. We're somewhat a few years ago where the Scandi was more in, but I don't care because that is just what I want this to feel like. I want these things to be beautiful and accessible, and we're going to put in a lot of that soft sage green with quality picks. Now, where does my money go? It goes in my ribbon and my picks and a few statement ornaments, and then everything else can be very inexpensive. We can find things from Target. We can find things from Walmart. I have a couple of these, which I think might go into the dining room to extend the color theme through. These just came from TJ, and they're dirt cheap, you know? So that's pretty much what's going to go in the back. And I, as I told you, did embrace velvet ribbon, but this may not even go on my tree. This will just go other touches in other places because I do still like wired ribbon for my trees. I just think that that works better. So that's this room. And then a couple other things that I picked up that would go with that. This will probably go on the couch or in the chair. And I don't know what I'm going to do as far as a tree skirt, so this may go back. But I do have this wonderful natural tree skirt. I love the textures. When you're dealing with soft colors especially, texture is very, very important to keep it interesting. And something that I haven't found yet that I really, really want are some beautiful white berries, almost like tallow berries or snowberries. I have some berry type picks that might go in the tree, but I want ones that also have some soft green leaves that I think would really make something like this pop. And then I did find these at Home Goods. So I have about a dozen of 2 different colors of that, and that just really tied in all the rattan. And one more thing that's going to go out here, I guess I wasn't quite done, whoops, is this amazing sleigh, which I think I'm going to fill this with real greens that I have flocked, and I'll be putting this in here or maybe even in the dining room. This is another thing that seems to be very much, and we've got other goodies in here for other discussion, trending this year is the whole sleigh deal. So you can get that in prints, you can get that in baskets, you can hang them on your tree, you can get beautiful old-fashioned sleighs with little reindeer pulling them. At Michael's, they're all over the place. So trends. In the softer colors, you're dealing a lot with metallics. You're dealing a lot with a kind of a woodsy cottagecore thing. I'm not quite going cottagecore. I'm still sort of embracing farmhouse because that's what I like. But it's definitely pushing more into the cottagecore vein. Now, in my front room, I wanted that to still feel like me, but I wanted to go a little bit more elegant and traditional. So I'll have a green tree out there, And Walmart is one of my favorite places, honestly, for base garland and things that you're going to build on. So what you have in here, of course, is a new one of what I'm going to show you. But this, and I know this looks super ragged and like, Elizabeth, how could this ever be pretty? And now I've got it stuck in my wire. But this is just good old cheap Walmart garland. It comes very, very thin. I always double it. So whatever length it tells you, think about it as half of that. But I use this, and then I will show you a new one that's all green that's rather pretty. That's not even any of the fancy new all drippy cedar and Norfolk pine. Here's my thing with the cedar and the pine. It's beautiful now, but in 5 years, everybody's going to be over it, and then what are you going to do with it all? Because it's going to feel very dated. Now, some things, like flocked or traditional greenery, that's always going to be usable. It's always going to be reasonably current, but I do have some of the Norfolk, but I have not invested heavily in it because I think it's going to be a one and done thing. I could be wrong in 10 years, but anyway, let's go back to our cheap garland here. So this one's been around the block a few times if you can't tell. I double it, and then I twist it, and then you fill it with whatever picks and things you got, and you end up with something that looks like this. So why spend $100 on the new fancy garland that you're probably not going to use in 3 years when you can just have the base model like this, but then you put in it all the wonderful things. So let's go for the one, oh gosh. So after I cleaned up my coffee that I spilled, let's go for the beautiful, very normal green garland that I just picked up at Walmart and show you how you can put some Norfolk picks into it to make it more current, but it's not something that is going to just be just this one thing and you can never do anything else with it. So here is a very inexpensive, but honestly not too bad, Walmart garland, which I don't think this one has to be doubled, but you could do the same thing with this that I do with my flocked. And this guy is going to go on my front fireplace, but I am really just going to use him as a flower frog idea, like a base. And so much of what I collect, I get beautiful picks, I'll show you some of them, and then I get really, really cheap bases and I work them in so that I have multiple options and I'm not too tied down to something. Now, if you really just want to go and spend a good amount of money on someone making you a beautiful designer garland, you're just going to put it up and put it back in the box. I understand that. I'm the person that wants to reinvent the wheel 700 times, so I would prefer to have more flexibility. So here is a good and expensive piece of Norfolk pine that I got last year, and my favorite place in town that I get all of my wonderful things from. The lady retired this year and they closed, and I'm so sad. So I have to go a little farther afield for the good stuff now, but this would just get worked into some sort of a scheme with my base garland here. And you're just going to build it outward, and it's going to be absolutely beautiful. And then next year when some other style is in, because remember, a few years ago everything was eucalyptus, right? Here's eucalyptus. And I tend to love eucalyptus because it's going to be in again down the road, you know, and I do collect more of this than the Norfolk, but you can work this in here just as nicely. So I like my inexpensive base garlands very, very much. And this one's really not bad. So I think this one was 16 or 17 from Walmart. So you'll see this on my front fireplace this year. So here is a matching wreath. I'm not done with it, but this is basically going to be my color palette that's going to go in the front room. And this already, I've started working some extra sprigs in, and I've started fiddling with how I want to do a very organic ribbon. And I got these with more points like that other fancy ribbon. Got these darling little doves that are going to go probably, I mean, this is all tentative until I get it up, into this wreath, because this is going to be layered on that front mantle with this gorgeous picture that I found from Studio McGee. Oh my gosh. This picture and the one behind me have informed pretty much everything other than my back room where I'm using my Highland cow. Now, a lot of decorators and designers, they will tell you to find, if you're going to do a whole room, they'll tell you to find a wallpaper, or even some of them will say start with a pillow. Start with something. Start with a picture. Start with something that has a lot of pattern, that sets a mood, that you can pull all the things together to create a cohesive idea. And when you're looking at different color palettes, like back here, I already told you I want to do light, I want to do bright. Now in the front room, I have green. I have tan leather couches in both places because I just love that neutral. I like warm. I like a lot of brass accents. I like subtle, sort of farmhouse finish type metallics. I am not the type of person who likes a lot of shine and glitter. Like my mother likes shine and glitter. I like things that are a little more burnished, a little more chill. So I'll just use one of these for example. This is not overly shiny. This is probably as shiny as I would like it to be. But this guy back here, he's a little bit older, a little bit more distressed, and is still not the best example. I have some of these candlesticks that are truly old that have more of that burnished bronze look, and that is my favorite. I like aged metallics because I just don't like a lot of glitter. But maybe you do like a lot of glitter. Maybe you want everything to be sparkle and shiny, so just don't go so over the top with that there isn't a place for the eye to rest. But anyway, back to my front room. So we're going to be building a beautiful palette of different greens and ivories with the gold. And I have all sorts of beautiful, kind of homey, this is a little bit of that cottagecore coming in. That nice, just patterned, old-fashioned texture. This one, both of these are Hearth and Hand, of course. This is one of my favorite designers, where you just go to Target and you get the cheap stuff, right? But it's still designer inspired. Oh, look at this, you guys. This is so me. So this is all going to go with the doves and the ivory and the golds in that front room. And this will be up on the mantle, I'm pretty sure. So what about the one that's behind me? This guy here. This is something I've been searching for years. And it's big enough to go on my wall. If I don't break my star here. Someday I'm going to have somebody who can help hand things to me when I do these videos, but it just isn't yet happening. I already showed you this, I'm pretty sure. Did I? I tried to record this a couple times, so if I didn't, this is the star that's going in the back room. Yeah, I showed you that when I was showing you how to match your textures and things. But in the front room, we're going to be doing, I think, possibly more wooden beads, but we're going to go a little bit more elegant, a little bit more elevated with more gold touches. So, over here, yes, in the front room, adding that little bit of elegance because there is a gold backing on that ribbon I showed you in the wreath. This and these guys are going to go out there, and then I have these lovely stockings, if I haven't buried them too deep in my mess around me here. Yes, these stockings. My idea is to take these beautiful little bells and suspend them on some more of the velvet type ribbons, and have these with my big swagged garland that I showed you with the Norfolk pine and all the other things built in. And then we'll have these, and we'll have the little bells. And another thing that is super in, has been for the last couple years, is lots of cascading ribbon that's not wired. Now, back in the day when I started decorating, wired ribbon was king. And I still think that it's necessary when you are doing arrangements and you're doing those big swoops in the trees and things like that. But also the trees have changed even. Like this new tree that I'm going to show you guys, it almost decorates itself. It almost doesn't need these big swaths of ribbon. What am I saying? This is like my favorite thing in the world. But a good wired ribbon, even one that's burlap like this, and I don't even know if I'm going to use this, but I've saved it for a long time. You can work with it and shape it beautifully to be able to do the poofs and the swags and all the stuff. And every time that you are decorating, guys, enjoy the process. Think, even if you have a formal style, even if you have a glitzy style, think about it being somewhat organic. If you try to make everything perfectly matchy-matchy, you're going to completely stress yourself out, and it's not going to be any fun. So, learn to work with the wired ribbons when it comes to making good displays in your tree, or, you know, if you want to put big bows in here. But the other style is now this drippy, drapey thing with simple ribbon. You can have different widths of ribbon. So we could have something like this, no bow on this one, but we would just have like a knot, and that knot of ribbon would trail down with these and this, and then you would put it up on the corner with my big swags of beautiful Norfolk and cheap Walmart greenery, and it's going to be absolutely fabulous. So in the front room, we're going to be doing those medium to deep greens. We're going to be doing a lot of brass. We're going to be doing a lot of the elegant ivory. And I have buried all of my ribbons, but it's this ribbon that I think is going to go in the front. This really elegant ivory, and this isn't even a super expensive company for this one, with the gorgeous gold backing. So those are the first two rooms. Ooh, and I'll probably be using a tree collar. Are you guys team tree collar or are you team tree skirt? But this is my favorite tree skirt that I usually have used in the front room because it's double-sided. But I also have a brass metallic tree collar and I have a woven tree collar. So the front room's going to be the greens and the golds. The back room's going to be all the ivories with all of the flocked. Everything in the front is not going to be flocked. Then we have the dining room where I have the pleasure of being able to kind of mix it up with the tablecloths and things. So I'm going to do a light group of things in there, and I might do a more dark and moody group. This is probably going in the dining room, and this will reflect and tie in very well the natural elements in the back with the more formal elements in the front. And here's another thing to think about as you are designing your spaces. Similar colors are helpful, so I'll have a little bit deeper greens in the front, a little bit softer greens and more ivories in the back, and in the pass between, which is my dining room, I will marry the two and then add some pops of brighter green. And somewhere in all of this, I tried so hard not to make this messy, but now it's a mess. I'm going to add that bright, beautiful mossy green from all the ribbon I collected last year, which I want to reuse. So here comes the whole, you don't have to do everything new. Take things that you already have, mix them in with new things so that there's kind of a cohesivity to your results and you enjoy it. So now let's go to the basement, where probably the most edgy trend I'm going to feel like I can incorporate is jewel tone. And other than Garland, I'm not much of a Walmart shopper. I had to have this new trendy thing from Walmart this year. My Texas home, and these are now flocked, created the coolest ornaments. These beautiful ornaments sparked everything that's going to happen in my basement this year. So I got lovely and inexpensive off of the internet velvet burgundy ribbon. These are inexpensive. I mean, they're like $5 a piece at Walmart. That's amazing. And I got a bunch of berries. And I am also going to do jewel tones with kind of the black, white, and gray base that's always in my basement. So another tip, depending on what style your home is and what colors, if you can grab things for Christmas that are off season, that are less expensive because they're just not what's currently new in the store, that's better for your budget. I tend to love autumn type colors and autumn type textures. So I grabbed at the end of the season some very beautiful jewel tone pieces that were not as expensive as the new Christmassy things that are coming in. And for my basement, because down there I want to do kind of a rustic, glam, lodgy, slightly homey, because Greg likes the basement. It's always got to be kind of traditional for him. Kind of a homey, cuddly feel, but that's somewhat elevated. That's a lot of words just to say that I'm doing a rustic purple and green Christmas, and it's not going to look like Barney. So, last year's wonderful pillows that were in the room that we're sitting in, my mushrooms and moss balls, these are from the mushrooms and moss balls. Then we're going to add these, which were on sale because it was the end of the season. And then we're going to put them with our very good budget decor, but neat Walmart stuff. And the size of these and the drama, I think, is going to be great. And we're going to do that in the basement with our ribbons. And the burgundy, another thing is that it's so dark. I don't need a lot of this to make a dramatic statement, and everything downstairs will be flocked too. So what else do I have to go with that? I had some, here are the green ones. They had some smaller green ones, guys. So this is going to be the color palette. This is going to go on my smaller flocked older tree, and it's just going to be amazing. So then I also have had for years, these are from Hobby Lobby, a collection of little owls, and I think they're going to go in downstairs, and I think I buried him, but my Scentsy snowman, he's not burgundy, but I think that he will evoke more of the cuddly side of what I want to do in the basement. So he's going to go out, and see, he's rich. So even though there's red and green, the richness is going to be very nice. And I found these, and we're going to build this bowl backwards together. This This is all just Walmart cheapy stuff too. So some of these I think are going to go outside. This may go on my coffee table in the basement, and or depending on how we need to do the textures, we may end up mixing it up like this, and I'm going to have the reds in with the purples and the greens, and I think it's going to be amazing. And that will allow me to dabble with the jewel tone trend without it getting really weird or expensive. So that room is going to be cranberry garland, and the front room, which is the most traditional, is going to be balsam spice. So these are the 3 scents that I'm going to be using as themes in my home this year. And then when it comes to throws and things like that, texture is key. So you've got your pillows, and you can see I really like chunky nubby knits, but if you wanted to glam it up, you could get a couple of pillows that were smoother, that had maybe some sparkle, some beading, any of that kind of stuff. And then, oh, here, I may be adding some of this as an accent, and this is even a very inexpensive ribbon. So even with ribbon, I'll go high-low. This one, though, you have to be careful with because there's no wire. This is almost more like a packaging ribbon, but I may add some of this into what I do in the basement to go with the really dramatic, dark, moody colors, because they may need a little bit of a lift, and they may need a little bit of just friendlying up. So these would be nice together down there, and that's going to go on the cheap Walmart garland that I showed you, but we're going to layer in these, and, oh, just a second, guys. I lost that. These beauties. Oh, look at these. These are so cool. So these are going to go in that cheap garland that I was showing you with ribbons like this and these beautiful deep dark balls. Look at that color palette, you guys, and actually the red that's on the other side. This together in my basement is going to be the most dramatic thing I think I've ever tried, and I'm so excited about it. So that is the majority of what I wanted to show you. It created an absolute disaster around me, but in my bedroom I wanted to go a little bit of just traditional red. So this guy is going to inform my bedroom because I've got sort of a tan and white ticking stripe type duvet in there, and I wanted to add just some reds and some whites because Greg's favorite is red. So probably a pillow like this, something like this, maybe some reindeer, put on a throw, you know, that kind of thing. Because honestly, tan with warm red, because this is warm red. I look for warm reds. They are hard to find. Even this is a dark dusty red, but it's got some warmth to it. It's almost sort of a, it shows up more purple on camera, but this is almost like a really beautiful barn red, which is so hard to find. And these were inexpensive from Walmart too. Anyway, all this is going to go in the bedroom on that base of the tan and the the white. And my bar to go in there is going to be red berry and spruce. So I have a lot of things from Hearth and Hand, the Magnolia line that came from Target. I love this little guy if you want to go more organic like we talked about earlier. I really have softened up a lot when it comes to Walmart. This is a couple years old, but he's going to be super, super cute with, I gotta pick up the snowman without taking his head off, with this. And that's going to go probably on my shelves. And then I also grabbed some little holly sprigs, and I have more holly and things already, and berries and all that kind of stuff for the basement. So I'm going to leave you with how you decorate a bowl with filler, as long as I can find all the pieces. So let's just take this apart because I already showed it to you. And this is where just having basic pieces that were already around the house is so important. Okay, ooh, got a lot of dog hair in here. Real life. So we have a bowl. This is from my dearly departed Pier 1. Or you could do the same kind of thing on a tray. This one, ooh, this one needs dusting. This one is from Target, I'm pretty sure. Okay? So you're going to take this, and I tend to work with bowls, especially in threes. When it comes to things like this, 3s or 5s. When it comes to trees, 5s or 7, repeating the pattern of whatever it is that you've got going on. So we got our bowl. We need some sort of greenery, and you could put the string lights in here first. Okay, now I want you to see that there's a triangle pattern in here. We have the sprays going in 3 different directions. And then we're going to put these guys in, 3 of them. Also going in a triangle direction. Okay. So that's going to make a nice even base. Then we're going to put in our ornaments. So we have a shaped finial, and these are dirt cheap. I loved how inexpensive these cool things were from Walmart. And then we're gonna put these in. Okay, so that took what, 30 seconds? And then if it seems a little bit boring, we could tuck in a few more little sprays. And in this case, you know, you could kind of fiddle with it till you know you want 2 or 3 or whatever. But that took what, a minute and a half, and you have a beautiful display that can go on your table or out on a hutch or whatever. So let's do that again with a different bowl, just so that it's not just about it being dramatic colors. So this one would go in the back. And these are all everyday items except for the little decor sprig here, okay? So, everyday bowl that you can just use for anything. We're gonna put in my already triangular shape, because I did this ahead of time, sprig, which I didn't cut, so we can put it back in shape and use again. Then I'm gonna put in my 3 wonderful little rattan orbs. This could also go in your tree. And that's beautiful all by itself. Like, that's perfectly fine. But then if you want a little bit more texture, a little bit more color tie-in, then you can add in some of your pine cones. And again, what did that take? A minute and a half? So I hope that you guys love doing your holiday decorating. Think about the rooms that you have. Think about the colors, the finishes, and the textures that are already there. Think about even old beat-up garland. Add beautiful quality floral picks on top of your base, and you'll do well. Also, if you find something that's like on a screaming sale, one of the fanciest places in town had these in September in their clearance area for a few dollars a piece. These are exquisite. I got 5 of them. These were like 30 bucks a piece to begin with. Look at that. And you build these wonderful, good quality picks, and build and build and build those things with your other base ingredients like I've already shared. You can mix your high and low when it comes to your ribbons. Like this one, I wouldn't recommend this to a beginner. This probably came from TJ Maxx. This is going to be a headache to work with. It's pretty, but you really want something that's wired. It's worth the money. You will have a beautiful result from your ribbons. And then even if you cut them, just save them and you can reuse them year after year after year. So this is a very long video. I hope that you guys have enjoyed it. It was a little bit chaotic, but I think I will leave you with my Highland cow. We're going to have a great Christmas season. Tune in later this week to see me put up my tree from our King of Christmas friends. And this came from a wonderful place in town that does these prints. So if you have something that's more like a vintage farmhouse mercantile, they may do something similar. That's definitely trendy now. So I think I'm going to get off. And I love collecting coffee cups, as you guys know. So this one says, "Oh dear, God bless." I hope you guys have had a laugh. I think I got all the coffee off the floor that I spilled earlier. God bless. Merry Christmas season. Happy Hollow Thanksmas. Love y'all. Elizabeth with Elizabeth Scenes and Scents. Bye-bye. So here's a close-up of a lot of the things that I am thinking about using. And a little sneak peek here of my garland. Just all the things. So these are the more natural tones. Look at this. They even have coffee cups with little guys inside of them this year. Now we'll do the red pile. So here are all my reds, which this will all pretty much be in the basement, but it's a little bit more dramatic. Those might go in the bedroom. Here's all the things that would be in the sleigh. I hope you guys enjoy your decorating for 2024 as much as I think I will. God bless. Bye-bye.